Hey Internet, all right, we have the second quick video I'm going to make for you today, and this one's about time management and virtual assistants. Now, let's take just a minute. I'm going to try and keep this down to around 10-12 minutes or so that it's not too long and too rambly. But here's the thing. Time is money, right? And the economy works because not everyone values the same activities at the same price. So for instance, I would not necessarily pay someone else to do work on a website because I can do that work very efficiently myself. So for me, the cost of spending an hour doing work on a website is fairly small, whereas for someone who doesn't have my skill set, for them to do the equivalent work on their website would take them an entire day or two, or maybe they would have to go get an education for weeks or months. While they were doing that, they would be losing a lot of business because, let's say, they're a bricklayer. So instead of them trying to save the money they would pay me per hour so that I could do this work, they're going to go out and lay bricks. They're going to get paid for laying bricks. They're going to in turn come and pay me to do their website for them. And similarly, if I needed to rebuild a wall or something, this might be flipped the wrong way. If I needed to rebuild a wall or something, I would pay a professional bricklayer because I can, if it was going to take them 6 hours to do the work, I can make the money to pay them in probably less than 6 hours. Just like they can make the money to pay me to do their website faster laying bricks than I could, right? So the point is when you're doing the thing you're good at, or the thing you've chosen to become a professional at, your value for your time is much higher than it is doing the things you're not good at, or doing the things that you're not primarily getting paid for. And this is where virtual assistants come in for me. So let's say today I dumped a job off on a virtual assistant that was, there's a book that I published for a friend of mine I'm acting as a publisher for, and that book needs to be reformatted for a new edition. Now, I certainly know enough Microsoft Word and InDesign to go ahead and reformat that book myself, but it would take me a lot longer than it's going to take someone who is a skilled layout artist to do the same work. I'm much better off doing what I do for a living, going out and writing code and making a living or administering a system, using the money to pay someone to edit the book. It just takes a lot less of my time. It's more efficient. And that's fine, but where do the virtual assistants come in, you say? They are the ones who are finding for me the person who is going to be doing the editing. I have 5 or 6 vendors who are options for this, and I need to approach them all. I need to get bids. I need to look up reviews. I need to look up whether they come up in any of the writers' forums as being good or bad, or scams or not scams. I need to contact them and get a sense of if they have a phone number, let's talk on the phone. If not, let's trade some email and get a feel for a whole lot of things. This is an ongoing relationship because whoever I select, I'm going to want to have other work for them in the future. So you're looking at, a whole day, 3/4 of a day of time between sending emails, waiting for emails to go back, writing requests for proposals, reading their proposals, going back and forth. And in that day, I can be doing a whole lot of other stuff. I can be talking to you, if nothing else. So I dumped that off on a virtual assistant. Now, let's talk real numbers. I paid the virtual assistant company I use right now $26 an hour for their time. We'll talk about the different types of VAs in a couple of minutes and the different price points. I pay them $26. It may take 3 hours for them to go through this process. And that is going to be approximately $75 of my money going to them. Let's round it up and call it 80. I'm going to pay $80, but at the end of that $80, I'm going to have a very straightforward end result document in my email that says, these are the companies ranked in order that I think you should use. They are, here's the prices, here's the rating, here's why I think these is the order you should consider them in, and these ones I took off the list entirely because the reviews are horrible. And if we can't come up with 2 or 3 options that are any good, I am going to have that person, my virtual assistant, will have gone out using the initial groups that I came across as a recommended starting point. They're going to have gone out and found a couple more groups that vendors that might meet my criteria, and they're going to have put them in the mix. And this will happen because the VA that I'm working with there is smart, accomplished, and has their act together. And they are people who have a lot of experience doing this, and they know what I kind of need as an entrepreneur, small company. So they're filling in that gap for me. Is that worth it? Is it worth the $75 for me not to have had to spend half a day or 3/4 of a day, because they're going to be more efficient at this than I am, because this kind of research and communication is what they do? Yes, because I guarantee you in that afternoon I will more than have earned the money to pay them working my normal contracts, because my hourly rate more than compensates for not having to have paid them, not having to have taken 4 hours off. As a matter of fact, yeah, I'll have covered that in less than 1 hour of that. My current contracting rate out in the world fluctuates between $125 and $150 an hour. So as you can see, the math just works out incredibly well, that it makes a ton of sense for me to go ahead and pay these, this company $26 an hour to do work and take that off my mind. And that's the beauty of virtual assistants. Now, $26 an hour as virtual assistants go is middle of the pack. There are VA companies that run $70, $80 an hour when you kind of break it out. And there are a lot of VA companies that you can get people to work for you for $3 or $6 an hour. As you can imagine, the $80 an hour VAs, they would not need to be looking for people to format my book. They would format my book. They would take care of that directly. The $26 an hour VA, we're looking at all US and UK based VAs. They all have English as a first language. They all have experience in the business world. They have a wide range of skills. Most of the time, the VA company I work with, which is called Time Etc., TIMEETC, if you are interested in checking out Time Etc., I would ask you as a favor, go ahead and hit me up an email, or look at the link that will be underneath this video. I'm going to give you my affiliate link. If you decide to try them out and then you decide to stay with them, I get a little bit of free time, you get a little bit of free time, but you're certainly welcome to not use that link if that makes you feel slimy about it. I'm not making this video to push them. There are other companies that do what they do. That just happens to be the company that I have had a good experience with. So at $26 an hour, you get someone who you can really rely on to be part of your team. My Time Etc. virtual assistant found my accountant for me years ago, one of them. One of the people from Time Etc. found my current tax lawyer firm. They called a bunch up, they interviewed them, they gave me recommendations on which ones they thought were going to treat me well, and so far that was spot on. They have researched and found professionals for me in a number of areas. They've done a fair amount of work in-house. They have negotiated my cell phone service. They've negotiated my internet service for me. So you need to understand that at $26 or around there an hour, it is worth it to me to have someone who I can trust, who's can think on their feet, make decisions, and not just follow written instructions. I would not probably use burden the time, etc. People at $26 an hour, though I have, but they don't need to be my first choice for making a dentist appointment, though they are my first choice for finding a dentist, if you understand the distinction. For very simple, very quick stuff, with a 24-hour turnaround, because time, etc. is made of professionals, and though their professionals do tend to work around the clock, if I needed somebody to call and order, takeout for me at 10 o'clock at night, time, etc., their turnaround time is not really going to be it. That's not what they're for. So the $3 or $6 an hour, or the ones like, I don't know, you'll find some that where they give you a certain number of tasks, and a task is defined as anything that, 10 minutes or less. So you can get, I think Rent a Smile is one of the companies that does like 26 tasks for $15 a month. You buy the tasks in bulk. And a task would be, make a dentist appointment, or call this store and find out if they have something in stock, or whatever. You can get that done much cheaper, but those people, the people doing those jobs, though they are competent and well-spoken and do speak English, those are going to be overseas workers. They're not in the US, they're not in the UK, they're not in Canada. And as a result, I have found that their ability to use their discretion, make decisions, and operate as a member of your business team is limited. I would not trust someone I was paying $3 an hour to renegotiate my cell phone bill. I wouldn't actually even trust them with giving them the temporary access code needed to talk to my cell phone company on my behalf. That's just not the level of confidence I have in someone who's working that cheaply. I'm sure they're very nice people, and they've done, when I've used companies like that, they've done a fine job of, finding out whether, they could schedule my car to go in for an oil change and so on. But I certainly would not give them a job like researching someone to do layouts for a book that I want to publish, or that I am publishing. So if you get the difference. So, there's like task companies, which I do use and I recommend. I tend to use whichever company has the best deal at the time. I've used Rent a Smile. I've used a number of others. You can find them kind of everywhere. I have used a number of what you would think of as these mid-range companies before I found time, etc. Red Butler is one. Magic is another. There are several that I went through, but far and away, right now, time, etc. are the people I use this way. So you basically log onto the website or you email them a job. They go ahead and assign it to someone, and then that job comes back and you go back and forth. You can give them a time budget and whatever. And one of the nice things about time, etc. is that they essentially assign you a default person. So most of your tasks you're going to send to that person. But if that person is busy, or what you need is outside their skill set, you can always just simply throw your task sort of into their pool, and one of their office management types will assign it, match it with someone correctly. And if you find that the default person you're working with, that you and they aren't really working together very well, or that you're often picking someone else to do the tasks, then you just switch your default over to someone else. The other thing I really like about them is that I get, they have a satisfaction guarantee, and I can tell you that they take it very seriously. At the end of every task, you have the opportunity to rate their performance. And every single time that I've rated a task performance anything other than a 5, which is perfect, I have been contacted. They've asked me what's gone wrong. We troubleshot why it was. And if I'm still, if I wasn't happy with the task, they've credited that time back to me and either assigned someone to redo the task, or if the task was in the end completed well enough that I didn't need it redone, then I got that time back to use on something else. And I have to tell you, there's something really fantastic about a company that takes that very seriously. Yes, they have a rotating pool of assistants, and I've gone through a number of assistants because the assistant I was working with left the company or was no longer working with them, or for whatever reason their performance rate was no longer operating exactly the way I wanted. But the company as a whole has always made sure I was happy and always made sure I was comfortable with what I paid them. And task over task over task, I have a 95% satisfaction rate, which is more than good enough for me to feel comfortable giving them my time for things like this. So if you are a professional and you are finding that there just isn't enough time in the day, whether you're working in real estate or whether you're working in software or whether you are working a 9-to-5 job and have other things you want to do, and you have that constant list of things that if I had the time I could do whatever, I want you to go ahead and put a price value on that. I want you to go ahead and say, what is it worth to me if someone would just take that off my hands? And if it turns out that a VA could do that job, you might want to consider letting them do it. I know it is hard to let go. You want to hold on to it. No one can do it the way you can do it and whatever. So I will give you the trick that came into me, which is I still retain executive control, but I have my VAs do research and make recommendations to me. And then that, sorry, I had to decline a call. I give them the final word to go ahead and accept. They'll interact with the book company for me, or they'll call Verizon back and make the deal that was proposed, or they'll call, the car repair place and, we'll go ahead and make that deal. So think about all the stuff that's stacking up in your life. Think about why you think that you have to do all the nitty gritty. And I know it seems weird for you to go, am I really going to pay somebody $1? Remember, the smaller tasking companies are very cheap. Am I really going to pay somebody $1 to make my doctor appointment for next week? Can't I just do that for me? And the answer is, yeah, but did you get to it today? Did you get to it yesterday? Is it weighing on your mind? If it is, just, spend the $1. Get it done. Get it out of your head. Just fire off an email to your VA company, your task-based VA company. Or heck, Time Etc., $26 an hour. It might take them 5 minutes to make that phone call for you. What is that? 25, so that's 60, let's call it $30 an hour. That's 50 cents a minute. So yeah, maybe 5 minutes. It might take them $2 to call and make your dentist appointment for you. Just let them do it, man. Get it out of your head so that you can get back to doing the things that you have to do, that you can make the phone calls that only you can make. And even at that, I think you would be surprised at the sort of things that these people can take care of for you. And a company like Time Etc., I've had them contact people and they always identify themselves as my assistant, and it makes me look good. I've had them deal with clients as well, and it's never been any bit of trouble. So if you have not used a VA company yet, I would urge you to look at Time Etc. You get a trial of like an hour. You can give them some jobs and go ahead and offload some stuff from them. And then if you're looking for a smaller task company, there are any number of them. I want to say there's Task something. TaskRabbit. TaskRabbit for the low end, I've had good experience with. Magic is another one, magic.cc, which you interact with almost exclusively through text messaging. If you're just looking for something that, they can order a pizza for you or whatever, again, I don't necessarily know that that's what Time Etc. is set up for. You want something immediate, I use a combination right now. I use Magic on my cell phone, so when I need to do something really quick, and they're fairly inexpensive, but you might use TaskRabbit for some stuff. You might use Time Etc. for the stuff that's more important. But either level that you want to sort of operate on, and I would wholeheartely say there's something to be said for just using Time Etc. For all of this stuff, as long as you don't need it done in 5 minutes. I think you will be amazed at what it's worth to you to get stuff accomplished and knock down that omnipresent list of someday maybe stuff, and preserve your sanity. And it will pay for itself. Heck, I saved more money per month by having them renegotiate my Verizon bill, and it took them 2 hours on the phone, but I make that work every month. That's just money I'm not paying somebody else. And it goes a long way towards, buying me some VA time that month. So go ahead, look into it. Feel free to ask me any questions in the comments below, and I will do my best to answer them in a follow-up video. As always, thanks for watching, and I hope you got something useful out of it. Oh, and hat tip Tim Ferriss for the 4-Hour Work Week. He's got some great stuff in there on virtual assistants, and that was what gave me the final kick to go ahead and try one years and years ago. Take it easy, everybody.